Hi, I'm Gabrielle, and this is The Invisible. This is the podcast about everything that shapes our lives, the inherited pattern, the protective layers, and the invisible forces that influence our health, relationship, and our work, our choices that we make every day. My intention is to bring light to these hidden layers so that what has remained unconscious can become conscious. Because when the invisible becomes visible, we have the freedom to choose differently. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been listening for a while, thank you so much for coming back. Before we begin, I just want to say that today's episode is a little different. Usually you'll find a free integration practice in the show notes, but this week I wanted to do something different, and instead I will share a ritual at the end of the episode. It's a ritual that has supported me deeply recently, and that I hope that will support you as well. So for now, let's begin. Today I want to address this coping mechanism that we are many to have as women, and it's this built up strength. And it's a coping mechanism that really supported me, and I guess us, for a very long time. But now this kind of like strength and rigidity and layer is sort of like preventing to live a softer life. So of course I was valuing that strength for a very long time, being resilient, independent, holding everything together, being this person that everybody can rely on. But it has also brought me a lot of difficult moments. Because I think when we are really strong, we kind of like crystallize and then we break. And I think it's also when we are so strong, we can really overpass our limits without feeling it in the soma, in the body. But also the other side of the coin is that strength also helped me to rebuild. So it also has helped me to build a career, to go through a career that was no longer aligned with me. It has helped me to move. So it's really a really, really fine line. And even though I've managed to change so much in my life, my body was and still behaving sometimes like if I had to constantly protect myself. And this is extremely, extremely tiring. And it's in a way where I would stay slightly alert, hypervigilant, this way that we have to anticipate everything and anything, things that might go wrong. So we can't really allow ourselves to relax with this kind of behavior. The nervous system that is alert, that doesn't feel really safe to stop, or would be scared to totally fall apart. So, like this kind of like opposition between the knowing that I need to be softer, I need to kind of like let go, but this strong crystallized mechanism that are imprinted in my psyche, in my body, and in my nervous system. And I've spent, I think this last year, really diving deep into the work of constellation and understanding that we are a product of so much more than just our own story. And I've trained in systemic constellation, and I find it mind-blowing. And I've now added it in my one-on-one session and in my work at large, like even in my sound healing session, my sound bath, my one-on-one with sound are deeply infused also with that realization in that work. And what is a systemic constellation? It's an experiential process that makes unconscious family dynamics visible. And so they can be seen, acknowledged, and they can begin to dissolve. Because what happened is that those patterns are transmitted through the nervous system, through the DNA. So it's not really transmitted by what is spoken, but it's totally in the invisible. And sometimes what is unspoken doesn't disappear at all, but it's really passed on. And we're like, but where does that come from? It can be like protective layers as weight issues, or protecting ourselves from receiving abundance because someone in our ancestor had a great loss, and we decided that, okay, if don't have abundance, then I have nothing to lose, you know? So it's in the way we relate to life, to what we can receive: love, abundance, joy, how we can really free ourselves and open our wings. So it's not really that, I mean, now I can explain it logically, but it's really a sensation, like something ties that are holding us back, but we can't really speak about it. So it's like holding memories that the conscious mind has never really lived. And as I'm exploring and really diving so deep into that work, I realized the weight of this inheritance, the weight of the secret. And it's so easy to be like, wanting to reject that, those dramatic secret, there is a part of ourselves that is like, it's so unfair. We want to blame this. And it's normal. And my greatest realization is like, it's the opposite. It's the acceptation, the honoring the ancestor line, the freeing those ties, the freeing those limiting beliefs, the freeing those programs that actually help it dissolve. Because those have protected our ancestors. They needed it to survive. But we are come to a moment in the lineage that it's not okay to keep on with that. So the more I do that for myself and for others, I can really meet this family system with respect. Yeah, and it becomes lighter. And the more I honor the people who came before me, the less I felt that I have to carry what belonged to them, what they had to build, So it totally changed my way of understanding healing as more as dissolution, alchemizing, releasing. Yeah, it's not living like cutting and rejecting, but more, recognizing what shaped us, without confusing it with who we are. So if not, I think when we keep that anger or that rejection, I think it's also what keeps us into trauma, into the pain body, like being so angry. And also the fact that we identify unconsciously can build also really, really hard layers, and it's harder to let them go then. So it's two different things that we don't have to accept them as our identity. So, have you ever asked yourself that, okay, maybe that strength or that thing is not even mine? Where does that come from? That strength that you've relied on your whole life. Is it time maybe to surrender the weapons? To excel? Yeah. And what if those traits were adaptations, mechanism, protection mechanism, survival mode? And the more I realize that, because as children, what we do, the priority is really to become ourselves. And we understand, it's not that we understand, but staying connected with the people we depend on is the number one priority. So we don't consciously decide to become the caretaker, the peacemaker, the achiever, or the one who never asks for help. Our body simply learns that it's more safe just to do it, to accept those coping mechanisms. If the love in your family meant to be quiet, or to learn to be quiet, to be loved and accepted, or if you learned very early that you had to be very useful, then it's harder for you to really take care of yourself. Or if love meant being really strong and become really early an adult, because nobody else could do it for you, then your system learned that strength equals safety. And it's not only that nobody explained it to you, but it's because the body had to adapt, it had to cope. And then those adaptations become layers, very crystallized, very imprinted, and we feel that it's our personality. We identify to this. And this is why this work goes so deeply. It goes into the roots of those trees, because then the branches would be our coping mechanism, that I can't be loved, I can't receive abundance. But the roots are so, so deep rooted in the childhood and in the family tree. So it's kind of like a different question. Is what you still carry today truly belong to you? And what surprised me with this work of constellation is that the psyche, the subconscious knows. And with the constellation, the systemic constellation, we start a direct conversation with the psyche. And it's incredible because it answers the questions. And everything becomes somehow visible without having to know everything, but just understanding the systems, systemic constellation system, the programs, the limiting beliefs. So it doesn't ask you to relive your past, but it creates space where the unconscious loyalties, where the unconscious programs and the karmic ties can be seen. And those patterns that have quietly organized a family for generations suddenly becomes visible to be released. So the body doesn't have to keep on carrying that. And it's something that is profoundly healing. And it's not conscious. So what happened is that I don't think in the previous generation our ancestors had so many tools as we have today. And because they could not process all this weight, they had to pass it on. And then we arrive here with this rise of consciousness, and we feel it. It's carried in silence, in the emotions that we can't express, but that we can't avoid neither. In the roles that we unconsciously take, and that becomes like normal, and that doesn't feel right. It's heavy, and then the body starts speaking. The body starts developing somatic reaction to that. And I spent, oh my God, a year with, around my eyes, sort of like red rashes. And I could definitely sense that it was my skin that was saying, stop, like, like fire barrier, I'm done. And yeah, even if the mind wants to analyze and to understand and to comprehend anything, it's not about understanding. It's really, it's physiological, no? It became physiological. It's so deep that it cannot be processed through the conscious mind. And the nervous system keeps on repeating it until we can really release that. So yeah, I've done myself a lot of constellation recently, and it's so beautiful because, I don't know, you might go through that as well, I'm sure. It's like, we feel that we need to take the decision to leave the partner, to leave the job. We have to understand and to decide and to really fight ourselves and to take the weapon and to be strong and to take this horrible decision that we are not ready to take, that the nervous system doesn't really want to take. But the more we dive deep into those layers and we dissolve and we let go, my God, I can't even tell you how my relationships have changed. I can tell you that I have this very big program of fear around relationship. And since I've done this last, I have received constellation, this last few systemic constellation, my relationship with my partner has totally shifted. I'm less afraid. I'm less protecting myself or pushing away or pushing back, which feels so nice because then the communication is way, freer. I love it so much. And even my relationship with some of my family members have totally changed. And what I love is that, after constellation, you need a few weeks. So you don't really, it's so subtle, it's so deep and it's so subtle that the change arrive on their own. And if you don't pay attention, you don't even see that. What else I wanted to share with you? Yeah, the body knows, the body remembers. And we carry those patterns in the nervous system, as I said, in the DNA. And I think it's where start to meet science and ancient wisdom. So just to share a little bit on epigenetic, that is showing us something that is absolutely fascinating, is that certain genes really express and hold these memories. So experiences such as stress, trauma, famine can leave biological marks that influence how the body responds to the world. Some of these changing appear to be passed on to future generations. It doesn't mean that our future is determined, that we are condemned to repeat the past. No. It's actually the body is incredibly intelligent. It adapts, protects, and does everything it can to help us survive. So if survival required staying alert, expecting danger, or never fully relax, then those protective responses can remain long after the original danger has disappeared. So what is my body still protecting me from? And this is a shift from judgment, because we tend to feel ashamed or to feel guilt around this. But it's also why what I can experience in systemic constellation, it's a complete other language. It's a language that allows the subconscious to express what the words cannot grasp. A language that gives place to what has remained silent. And to give space also to what families had to pass on, and through silence to what could not be expressed, spoken, or mourned. The invisible choices that nobody could look at. And we don't remember consciously all that. But we often organize ourselves around them without realizing it. And I think the body, I don't know, I think now that the consciousness raised so high and we are at a time where humanity where, I don't know how you feel it, but for myself, I really feel that it stops with me. I no longer want to carry that, and I no longer want to pass this on. And it's not about understanding more, but I think it's about creating enough safety for the nervous system to realize that the danger has passed and the body no longer needs to be constantly protected, that we can start to rest and regenerate and receive and love and receive abundance and to stop to soften those survival layers, not to push harder, but to really soften, open our hearts, to be more with the ability to receive life instead of constantly preparing to defend yourself against it. So it's really that strength, that fight that no longer serves you. And Yeah, it's a very big transformation for me. I truly believe that I had the life of being a Valkyrie. I mean, I'm a fighter, like I can't even tell you. It's impressive, and I think I want to keep that as a part of my strengths for sure. But I also want to be able to lower my protective walls, to allow love in my life, to receive. I've met last year this incredible partner, and we are really trying, like allowing life despite the fact that we are both in our 40s and we lived many lives and stories, and that today we're trying not to bring too much of our past in this new endeavor. And that's a work that's also very beautiful, and to be able to communicate that and to allow this decision that we don't want to bring too much of our past there, you know and also for me being careful not to anticipate too much, or yeah. What else I want to share with you? Yeah, to allow more joy in life, less vigilance, allowing also, time to unfold, and so we can relax. Allowing my body not to be on guard all the time. And this is also where I use a lot of sound for me. I definitely use sound healing on me, on my, I don't know if you follow me on the social media, but on my cat as well. She's my greatest mirror, and recently she's been also through transformation, and she also have important skin problem, and I can see that she needs a lot of softness, and I think this hyper vigilant fighting mode needs to really be of a reality. So it's a gentle recognition of that we don't have to keep on holding all this burden, but with respect, simply saying thank you for protecting my family, thank you for protecting my ancestor, to help us survive, and today I no longer need to carry this. I don't need this anymore. I don't need your influence anymore. I am free. I don't want to push through anymore. I want to move through gratitude, and that gratitude to create safety in my life, to allow my body to release all those burdens and those weights. To identify a little bit less, and to understand that sometimes, those ties can just be let go. They can be released, that we can release those roles. And by doing that, we release our entire lineage. We don't have to hold of these responsibilities anymore. Okay, well, I think I've pretty much covered it. Yeah, just checking my notes really quickly. And the idea is to live fully our own life. What is ours, what we want to take on in this life, our dharma, our mission, and not to be stuck anymore, and in this lack of safety mechanism, but rather like rebirthing in this solar being of having the confidence and the courage from the heart to really keep on walking this journey that is ours, and that we are here to do. And I really feel that if we can keep on being on the side of ourselves, we cannot really channel abundance. But we fully accept our place, then we can really channel this abundance that is rightfully ours. So I wanted to share this ritual that I have been doing a lot for myself, and shared with my client this past weeks, because in the energetic meteo, there is a great invitation to heal the past, to heal the ancestors. but there is as much as we can understand through the conscious mind. So what I invite you to do is to ground in your body. You can bring your hands wherever it feels right on your body. You take very deep breaths. You put your 2 feet on the ground. And you root down yourself through the earth till the center of the earth. Try to soften your spine, your shoulder, your jaw. And without any force, to really start slowing down. And what I like is you can take a stone. You can take any stone. It doesn't have to be a crystal. And you can just touch it, and you can take an object that represent an old relationship or an old patterns or a memory. I had to work with a very old memory of maybe I'll talk about that in another episode, but of letting go of something that was very, very dear to me 10 years ago. And I could finally release it now. And it was very, very graceful. It was a big decision. But anyway, you can take your stone and you can just say to the stone that you release everything and anything that no longer serves you, that you release all the ties, all the memories, everything that no longer belong to you. And you can put the relationship, you can put the relationships, the patterns, the burdens, and how you can dig a hole and put it in the earth and really release everything into the earth or into the water if you are close to the sea. So it's taken, and you can really speak out loud and say, thank you so much for protecting me. Thank you for protecting me for so long. I no longer need you. I no longer need your influence. You won't have any more influence on me. And you leave it in the earth or you leave it to the water. So, and then you just let it integrate. And you can take, it can be a piece of paper, it can be a picture that represents what you want to let go of. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. If today's episode resonated with you, you can journey with a very simple question: what part of this is really truly mine to keep? Because also from those inheritance, we keep things. We keep some strengths, we keep some knowledge, we keep some of it. But what is the toxic part that no longer serves me, that I'm now ready to let go? This part of adaptation that helped maybe some of my family members to survive. You don't have to answer that question today, but you can just navigate with it. And most of the time, the deepest shift happen in the background, long before they come to consciousness, they come up to consciousness. So if you would like to explore this work more deeply, please reach out to me. The work we do in one-on-one is just so soft, so grateful, and so deep. We can release so much working together. There is Essential Care, the Root session. You can also come to my sun bath if you are here on the island or in the Baleares. And if this episode touched you, please share in the note with me what you're going through. Ask me your question. And well, then, until next week, take very gentle care of yourself and remember that the greatest act of courage is not becoming stronger and harder, but it's really deeply accepting that it is safe to become softer, to relax, to let go, to release, to give back to the natural forces of nature. And to trust that you are called back to your sacred mission, to who you really truly are in this life. Thank you so much for listening, and see you for the next episode.